And there's a guy that comes in all the time, come to find out their cousins.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've
They
met
didn't even know
several
each other.
people here that come in and looking for somebody, and I say,
Did they sound like you?
yeah, they sound just like me. Yeah.
Do you know who comes to our house probably 2 to 3 times a week to check and see if Ron and I are okay? Vernon from Mississippi.
I don't think I know him.
I'll introduce you to Vernon. His son lives in our neighborhood.
Does he
Okay.
sound like me?
A little. No, his
So I've got a tied quilt buttonhole stitch.
buttonhole applique.
Buttonhole
applique.
buttonhole applique.
Applique. So this here is
That's a
known
Q,
as
not
an
a K.
applique quilt.
I got that.
And this
QUE.
is all hand done, right?
This is-
Not by a hole maker.
No, this is all hand done.
Okay. Just wanna clarify
Even
that.
with the knots.
And the
Stress
these
that the
seams are even hand done?
what I want you to do is stress that the knots are square knots, because you don't want them bringing it back to you. Okay, because this has been repaired before, they have slip stitched this.
Yeah.
So this is her method of a slip stitch, not Rosemary's method. I teach her a different way.
So would you say when you said that it's a tied quilt, it has a
Okay,
certain
now what happens, okay, in order for it to be a quilt, Nancy, and
You wanna see?
if I'm overkilling you, just plug your ears up. In order for it to be a quilt, it has to have 3 layers. Number 1 would be the actual design, the top.
okay.
The second would be the batting. And sometimes, between you and I, they didn't have money to buy the cotton, but they had an old raggy quilt. So they would put an old raggy quilt
Inside.
inside.
Wow.
Okay? I have one of those, yes. Because I went to an auction and I bought it because I like to show people. It's easy to show people what they're getting, what they're interested in. Then in the back of the quilt
This is the ivory
is your
book,
backing.
which is this, and this is not
That's what I was
local.
saying. I think this had a back, but it has cheesecloth in here instead of what you would consider something thicker that would make it
Yes.
warm. I mean, that's why they made the quilt.
Or it could be
So
the
it'd warm.
process, Jer, of them
Yeah, right now.
creating the
Okay,
cotton.
so,
I've
Some of it
never
is starting out
carded
looking
before,
nice.
so I don't know.
yeah, you know, and I tried to
But
look
you
at these,
girls
I
are gonna
couldn't
get me
either.
growing cotton now.
This is later, this is like in 1948.
Then what happens
so
is,
that's
once
not
you get
bad.
all 3 layers together, okay,
But it doesn't.
there has to be a method to hold all 3 together.
They didn't do that back then,
That's what I'm
They
thinking.
can
yeah,
either
that's more
hand
later
quilt,
construction, yeah.
well, up north.
Or northern.
machine
yeah, right.
quilt,
Although the Crushes did make concrete box, so,
or
They
tie.
did.
yeah.
And when they're doing that, what you're saying is it
Yeah, I haven't come across that.
because this has sewing
This I
this
have
way, not
no
on
idea where
not
that
on all of
goes.
them, but it's just a way to hold this together.
Yes,
So I'm gonna keep
Yes.
it in, I'm gonna
and
just.
each one of those patterns, when
See
they
the-
change, Jerry,
Yeah. See
Okay.
the sewing here, quilting. Or I'm sorry, it's sewing to me. These lines here, that's where they've stitched it to kind of hold it
to hold it together, and
the back.
Oh, I can see the stitching you're talking about. Okay. Okay.
The backing, the batting. And
Wow. Okay.
John, that was another quilt I meant to bring. I have one that I made, and I got a phone call from Vermont, one of the museums in Vermont. And I said, how do you know about my quilt? I'm still quilting it. They said, well, we heard that you have a Baltimore album quilt. I said, yeah, it took me 4.5 years to make it.
Wow.
But every single square is a different design.
Birthday suit.
That's what called it the Baltimore.
It's a style.
Ours is.
I'll look at it. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, we have one hanging over here that's
Okay.
really
Kind of a
cool.
modern quilt. It's each square is about this big,
Uh-huh.
and it's got a different place down.
I think informational more than anything.
Yeah.
1824 to 1848
Oh, this one's
was
more like
the Baltimore album quilts.
First
Oh.
stitch.
Mine was 1991.
That
But
would
when
probably be
people
closer
see
to
the,
this.
the stitching, because it's all by hand, it's never seen a sewing machine, even to put the binding on, it's all by hand. Somebody knew that I was working on that quilt, and they turned it in to the Vermont Museum and gave them my phone number. I don't care. But anyway, I said, how do you even know? I said, and there's, like Jerry was pointing out, the quilt lines. Well, every time that line changes, there's a different name. Stippling is 22 to 24 stitches per inch. And that's what I was doing in the center of this part when I get the urgent phone call.
I'd go bananas.
I said, well, she gonna lick that needle.
They built it in.
Yeah.
Make it easier to thread.
Stippling is 22 to what? To 24?
To
24 inches.
And you slip your
Per quilt,
thread.
per-
I can't
per-
do that.
Inch.
I can't see
Per
well
inch.
enough.
I'm sorry, per inch.
Concrete block.
Okay.
I like that blue butterfly because they don't
And
have
it
the
can't-
black stitching on it.
Yeah.
I don't like
We
that
forgot to
black
count the
stitching.
baskets on that.
Took a
We
lot,
did.
people took a
We
lot of
can do
pictures of the
They
animals.
did, that's
Okay.
wonderful. That's great.
All right, Nancy, you're up. You're up again. We're on
Up
countdown.
again. All right.
Yeah,
And this is applique.
You don't know what you're doing whenever you handed me this thing.
Well, I'm gonna go like that right there.
And it's gonna do itself.